On the day of the 20th wedding anniversary, I was in a car accident. I was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. I was in a coma. I vaguely heard the nurse's conversation in the ward. This patient can't be suffering retribution for being a mistress, right? After Oliver placed her in a regular ward, he went to be with his wife Isabella, who was giving birth. Indeed, I remember last year the mistress's parents died after an unsuccessful surgery. Oliver wanted to take revenge for his wife. He specifically waited until they passed away to tell her. This time he even asked the attending doctor to teach her a lesson. But if her leg injury is not treated soon, it might leave her disabled. It's also her own fault. She insisted on interfering in someone else's marriage. Isabella is getting older herself. Getting pregnant is not easy. She even specifically asked us to take care of her. Such disrespectful behavior. I couldn't help but want to teach her a lesson. My heart grew colder and colder. Tears flowed down unknowingly. What a brilliant tactic. My wife of 20 years has actually been treated as the third party. I couldn't see my parents one last time. It was also caused intentionally by the person beside me. I once thought our unbreakable love was beautiful, but in fact, it had long been shattered. In that case, let's not meet again in this lifetime. The nurse's voice intermittently reached my ears. It made my heart race. My eyes also felt extremely sore. Finally, I don't know when I fell asleep. When I woke up, I saw Oliver leaning by the bed. He was sleeping soundly. I carefully looked at his face. In his 40s, he is still so handsome. Compared to when we first got married, he just has a few more wrinkles. Suddenly, I recalled how he recited our wedding vows to me, so sincere, so resolute. I felt a wave of sadness in my heart. I quickly wiped away the tears at the corner of my eyes. I picked up Oliver's phone from beside the bed. I saw that the wallpaper was a baby wrapped in a swaddle. Next to it lay a string of prayer beads. Under the prayer beads were the words gifted to my son. I got this string of prayer beads to bless Oliver with peace and health. I relied on many favors to obtain it. I knelt before the Buddha 3,000 times. I prayed until my knees were injured. Now, he has given it to his illegitimate child. My heart felt extremely uncomfortable. I felt like I could hardly breathe. I struggled to endure the discomfort. I tried to unlock the phone using my fingerprint, but after several attempts, it kept saying error. At that moment, I finally understood. He had long deleted my fingerprint information. I tried using today's date as the password. To my surprise, the phone actually unlocked. I couldn't help but snicker. It seems this child's birth made him so happy that he changed the password to the child's birthday. The home screen of my phone is filled with reminders for pregnant women. The album is also full of photos of Oliver and Isabella together. I flip through the photos one by one. I discover they are all records of their travels around the world. The time span actually lasts for 20 years. I open WeChat. The pinned chat box is specifically noted as Isabella Baby. Their conversations are uninterrupted every day. Every word is filled with passionate and profound love. I notice Oliver's WeChat signature has changed to "May there be years to look back on," and to share a lifetime with deep affection. At the time, I thought this was his confession to me. I even asked him face to face if he changed it specifically for me. Now I see another person's signature is exactly the same. I can no longer control myself. A tear falls onto the phone. It blurs the words that once moved my heart. Looking back now, he seemed awkward at that time. Maybe he thought I was being unreasonable and overly sentimental. He introduced his wife to his partner. It's also using Isabella's name. No wonder even the hospital nurse thinks I'm the third party. Isabella, don't be afraid. It doesn't hurt anymore. I'm here. Oliver mumbles in a daze. He's about to wake up. I put down my phone. I close my eyes. But tears keep flowing uncontrollably. Even in his dreams, he's worried about Isabella's safety. But in reality, the one lying in the hospital bed is clearly me. A pair of warm, dry hands gently wipe away my tears and tenderly caress my face. Amelia, don't blame me. If it weren't for your car accident, I wouldn't have missed Isabella giving birth, leaving her to go into the delivery room all alone in fear. I've already asked the doctor to temporarily halt treatment for your broken leg. During this time, just think about it in the hospital. Consider it atonement for Isabella. Oliver's words pierce my heart like a knife. I bit my lip to hold back my tears. My hands were tightly clenched into fists under the blanket. At that moment, the phone rang. It sounded like a woman was calling. Oliver quickly walked out of the ward. As soon as the door closed, I finally couldn't help but cry out loud. In a daze, the pain from my broken leg intensified. It reminded me that those betrayals and lies were real. After a while, the door was pushed open again. Isabella was sitting in a wheelchair. She held a large bouquet of chrysanthemums for memorial purposes. I immediately became alert. I quietly opened the recording function on my phone under the blanket. Oliver was busy taking care of the child. I took the time to come and see you. This is our first meeting. I even specially brought a bouquet for you. She smiled as she handed me the white chrysanthemums. There was a hint of malicious intent in her gaze. I said coldly, I can't accept these flowers. I'm not a mistress. I won't be the one everyone wants to beat up. When Isabella heard this, her expression changed immediately. She sneered. Have you heard of it? The one who is not loved is the mistress. Besides, you should go ask around. Who doesn't know that I'm Oliver's wife? A woman like you, how can you deserve to be Oliver's wife? You might not know yet. My child was conceived on the day your parents passed away. That day they happened to catch us together. As a result, due to emotional distress, it caused a heart attack. They were rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. She spoke in a relaxed tone, as if she was talking about something pleasant. I was startled at the time. I accidentally twisted my ankle. To vent my anger, Oliver deliberately waited until they passed away to inform you. Anger surged instantly. I grabbed the vase on the nightstand and threw it at her with all my might. You still have a conscience. Where has your conscience gone? She was hit badly, screaming loudly while sitting in a wheelchair. The door wasn't closed tightly. The grandmother rushed in through the door. Quickly protect Isabella. Asked anxiously, what happened, Amelia? How could you do this? Isabella came to see you out of kindness. You actually hit her with a bottle. Oliver walked in behind. Seeing me with Isabella, his expression immediately turned tense. He said, Wife, you finally woke up. By the way, this is my friend Isabella. She heard that you were also hospitalized, so she came by to see you. He held my hand, still very strong, but I no longer want to hold his hand back. Oliver, you shouldn't protect her like this. Aunt, please don't be angry. It's all my fault. I originally wanted to tell Sister Amelia the news about my baby to make her happy as well. I didn't expect Sister Amelia. If you're angry, just hit me or scold me. I'm okay with that. Isabella is leaning in her mother-in-law's arms. Her voice carries a sense of grievance and sadness, causing such a commotion over a little illness. Which family has a daughter-in-law like this? The look in my mother-in-law's eyes is filled with anger, as if I've done something unforgivable. It seems she also knows about Isabella, only I am kept in the dark, like a fool. Usually, for Oliver's sake, I always endure her treatment. I never retort, but this time I really can't hold it in anymore. Yeah, which daughter-in-law is like me? The mother-in-law entered the hospital room. Without first caring about my injury, she instead speaks up for outsiders. You dare to talk back to me? Grandma was so angry that her hands were trembling. She pointed at me, unable to say a word. Isabella seized the opportunity to interject. She pretended to brew tea and spoke sarcastically. Aunt Amelia, how can you be so rude to your aunt? What will you do about Brother Oliver? Don't think that having my son backing you up means I can't do anything. There's nothing I can do about you. Before Grandma could finish her words about Isabella having a baby, she was interrupted by the serious-faced Oliver. That's enough. Mom, Amelia is sick now. Don't make things difficult for her. And Isabella, what are you doing here? If you shouldn't be here, then don't come. Amelia needs to rest. Mom, please take Isabella and leave first. Haven't you always wanted to see Isabella's baby? Grandma had no choice. She had to drag the reluctant Isabella away. Honey, do you still feel any discomfort now? The hospital wards are quite tight. This ordinary ward is the best I could arrange for you. You can stay here for now. Wait until you feel a bit better. I will take you home then. By the way, the doctor said your leg condition is quite complicated. The surgical plan will take a few more days to finalize. Just hang in there a little longer. Oliver gently stroked my face to comfort me. Then he skillfully picked up a fruit knife and started peeling an apple. He has always been particularly gentle. He takes care of me by doing everything himself. Because of this, I truly believe he has loved me for 20 years. I coldly asked him, is there anything you feel sorry for me about? His expression changed slightly, but he quickly returned to normal. He appeared very calm. He asked, what are you thinking about? How could I possibly do anything to hurt you? Do you remember what day it is today? I still couldn't help but ask him. It's like a moth to a flame. I had to get a clear answer. What is today a special day? He spoke softly. Smiling, he held a piece of apple to my mouth. I felt something inside me completely collapse. Finally, I was disheartened. It turned out he could remember such detailed prenatal care matters. He could also remember all of Isabella's preferences. He even remembered the birthday of Isabella's dog clearly. Yet he couldn't remember our wedding anniversary. In that moment, I really wanted to have a big fight with him. There was a fire burning inside me, but I didn't know why. I actually didn't even have the strength to get angry. I put on a stern face. I closed my eyes. I pretended he wasn't here. Don't peel it. I don't want to eat. I'm tired and want to sleep. You can go. Okay, take a good rest. I'll come see you again tonight. He didn't notice anything unusual about me. Maybe he was overwhelmed with joy over the baby's birth. Or perhaps he was in a hurry to comfort Isabella. I've become too lazy to think about it. The phone suddenly rang. I opened it to take a look. It was a friend request from Isabella. I clicked to accept. She immediately sent over a few photos. In the photos, Oliver was smiling while holding the baby. Oliver said he wanted to hold a celebration for the baby. He'll introduce me to all his relatives then. You'd better take the initiative to back out. I looked at the messages that came in. Memories flooded my mind. I liked Oliver the first time I met him. I didn't care that his family was poor. I pursued him actively. He didn't agree at first, but I cared for him every day. I even helped him develop his career. Gradually, his attitude softened. In the end, we got married. I checked privately. I found out he had a childhood friend named Isabella. But Isabella dislikes him for being poor. She followed a wealthy man. I thought Oliver had long lost feelings for her. I didn't expect I was too confident. After marriage, he told me, he was afraid to accept my feelings because of his fertility issues. He never dared to accept my feelings. I believed him. Even to protect his dignity, he told others it was me who couldn't have children. I didn't care about the ridicule from relatives and my mother-in-law. Looking back now, I was really too naive back then. Such a marriage. Do I still need to continue? Isabella immediately responded. As long as you understand. I will have the nurse give you the prayer beads. If you don't leave in 3 days, don't blame me for being rude. I turned off WeChat. I called a friend abroad. I asked her to help arrange the surgery in 3 days. Then, I contacted a lawyer to help me draft the divorce agreement. I have canceled all my domestic documents. I entrusted someone else to handle the property I couldn't take with me. After finishing everything, I turned off my phone, looking at the sparkling ring on my hand. I took it off without hesitation. That night, Oliver came again. He brought homemade meals and a bunch of nutritional supplements. I noticed there was even baby formula mixed in. I couldn't help but feel a touch of irony. Honey, do you need me to feed you? Do you feel any better now? Are you still feeling unwell? If it hurts a lot, tell me. I will ask the doctor to prescribe you the most effective painkiller. He had a pained expression on his face. His gaze was focused on me. I couldn't help but feel puzzled. He clearly loves Isabella. How can he still show such deep affection towards me? I calmly took the nutritional meal. I said, no, thank you. I'll do it myself. He immediately asked, wife, where's your ring? I put it away. It's not very convenient to wear. He seemed to notice my unhappiness. Gently tucked my loose hair behind my ear. Speak. Why is it so quiet today? You usually love to chat with me. When you're better, I'll take you on a trip. I've been too busy these years. If I don't take you out to play soon, we won't be able to move anymore. Normally, when I hear these words, I would definitely be overjoyed, because I always nag about wanting to travel the world with him, to be a happy couple. But after seeing the thousands of travel photos with Isabella on his phone, and hearing him say these things, I just felt nauseous. I said impatiently, do as you wish. If there's nothing else, just go. I want to be alone for a while. My leg hurts a lot. I really don't feel like dealing with him anymore, he said. All right. There have been a lot of issues at the company lately. I might not have time to see you. If anything comes up, remember to give me a call. He looked genuinely apologetic. It seems he really cares about me, but he's not busy because of work at all. He's actually busy taking care of the kids. I smiled faintly. I nodded in agreement. That's fine too. After seeing him clearly, I have nothing left to be attached to. Time flies. 3 days later, I finally got that string of prayer beads. I got this string of prayer beads through a friend of my parents. Since Oliver doesn't deserve to have it, I decided to take it back for myself. I took out my phone. I blocked all of Oliver's contact information. Then, I posted the recording of my conversation with Isabella online. Finally, under the escort of my private bodyguard, I made my way to the airport on an international flight. I finally feel like I've been reborn. Oliver, I hope we never meet again in this lifetime. The other side. The atmosphere at the baby shower is lively. Isabella is wearing a gorgeous dress. She greets Oliver and the guests. Suddenly, the phone rang. It's my attending physician calling. Oliver, Amelia has already left the hospital. We can't find her now. Would you like to come and see her? Oliver frowned. His tone was a bit impatient. She has a broken leg. Where can she run to? Forget it. I'll send someone to look for her. He said this while preparing to leave. Isabella quickly stopped him. Is it that Sister Amelia wants to see you? Someone is taking care of her. She might just be a bit emotional. Today is our son's baby shower. You still have to go up and speak later. If you're not here, what will everyone think of our son? At this moment, the host raises his voice to announce, Please, Mr. Oliver, come up to the stage with the child. Oliver is somewhat swayed by the persuasion, but he still feels that something is off. He irritably pulls his hand away from Isabella's. He says, I'm going to hold the child. He is about to take the child from the nanny's hands. Suddenly, he realizes that the string of prayer beads he gave to his son is missing. He immediately asks, Where are the prayer beads I gave to my son? He loudly questions, as if to vent his inner anxiety. Isabella lowers her head, possibly not knowing where she put them. She responds with guilt. To be honest, Oliver can't help but yell at her. He doesn't know why he's so anxious. He just feels that something is slowly disappearing. Amelia is going back. Oliver, don't be angry. If she insists on taking it back, I can't do anything about it. This thing isn't worth much anyway. It's gone. It's gone. Isabella lunged into Oliver's arms. Keep pretending to be weak and pitiful. Oliver pushed her away without hesitation. He questioned her. How could she know about this? Did you go looking for her? Didn't I warn you not to appear in front of her last time in the hospital? For the sake of the child, I forgave you. How dare you go looking for her? Isabella was pushed to the ground. The people around whispered like they were watching a show. Ever since she became Oliver's mistress, she has been highly sought after, living a privileged life. She has never experienced such treatment. She immediately retorted, Why can't I go see her? I'm the one who gave you children. I'm the one who travels with you everywhere. I'm your real wife. Why should I hide and sneak around? Don't you dislike Amelia's spoiled rich girl attitude the most if it weren't for her constantly clinging to you, insisting on marrying you to tie you down? You could have married me openly and honestly. Oliver gave a cold smile. He pinched her chin. I've been too lenient with you over the years. You've forgotten who you are. I'll say it again. Amelia is my legally wedded wife, and you are just a third party. Do you understand? Isabella suddenly froze. Teardrops welled up instantly. How could you do this to me? We grew up together. I've followed you for 20 years. So what? Amelia has been with me for 20 years. I can treat her poorly, but you have no right to. You're just a tool for me to pass the time. Do you understand? Isabella looked at the suddenly unfamiliar man in disbelief. She held onto his hand tightly, desperately pleading. It's not like this. It's not like this at this moment. Someone came over to tell him, Boss. The lady sent a divorce agreement. The assistant squeezed through the crowd, with a troubled expression on his face, holding the divorce agreement drafted and signed by my attorney. He opened his mouth to ask, What did you say? Oliver's eyes suddenly narrowed. He snatched the stack of agreements like a madman. Impossible. Amelia loves me so much. How could it be when he saw my signature with his own eyes? He was stunned. His whole body began to tremble. It felt like a piece of his heart was ripped out. He swayed unsteadily, almost kneeling on the ground, continuously murmuring my name, Amelia. I know I was wrong. Don't abandon me. Don't leave me behind. Didn't you say you would never leave me? To comfort him, Oliver. Don't be sad. She doesn't cherish you, but you still have me. I will always be with you. We still have children. HMPH. What a thick-skinned person, and quite ruthless too. I thought she was the legitimate wife. Turns out she was the mistress. She even dared to flaunt it in front of the legitimate wife. She caused someone to miss their last chance to see their parents. I see this as karma. Someone in the crowd couldn't stand it anymore. They spoke up to mock. Once those words were said, others joined in to agree. Exactly. Even I couldn't bear to listen to that recording. I really don't know how the legitimate wife endured it. The mistress is probably finished now. Boss, the second thing I want to say is, the lady seems to have posted a recording online. Now the company's reputation has been greatly affected. The stock price has also plummeted. Many netizens are quite agitated. They even found a photo of Isabella. They edited it to look like a memorial photo. Isabella's phone suddenly rang. She picked up the call and heard a series of unpleasant words. Some were cursing her to death. Others were insulting her family. She gripped the phone tightly. The veins on the back of her hand were bulging. Her chest rose and fell with anger. "Ah, Amelia, I will never let you go. Oliver, you need to help me handle the PR issue. How could she harm me like this?" Oliver pulled the angry Isabella aside. He said to the assistant, "Go investigate immediately. Use all resources available. I want to know Amelia's situation these past few days." The scene at the banquet that day was chaotic. It had to be ended early. It became a topic of conversation over tea and meals. I was abroad at that time, lying in the operating room after several hours of deep sleep. The doctor told me the surgery was successful. When I woke up, I saw my friend Sophia standing by the bed. Her face was full of joy. "You finally woke up. Do you feel any better? I hired 3 caregivers to take care of you. Are you hungry? You want to eat something?" I was going to say I'm fine, but ever since Mom and Dad left, I haven't experienced such warm care in a long time. I held back the ache in my nose. I held Sophia's hand and said, "I'm not upset. Don't worry about it. Just sit here and keep me company. That's good. If you hadn't reached out to me, I wouldn't have known how Oliver treated you. Good thing you were decisive. Otherwise, I would have really rushed back home and pushed you to divorce sooner. When I got married, Sophia, as my friend, strongly opposed it. But I didn't listen to her. I stuck to my decision to avoid making Oliver unhappy. After getting married, I rarely saw Sophia. Looking back now, I'm the one who was most confused. Haven't I already realized it in time? I only realized this when I was 45, but it's not too late, right? I believe this won't ruin my life. I've shown the most sincere and relaxed smile during this time. This is me now. I have money and time. I can freely pursue what I want. There are no constraints of marriage. I don't have to accommodate anyone. This is pretty good. I knew you would be open-minded about it. By the way, do you remember the bookworm who lived next door when we were kids? That handsome but quiet guy was named Ethan. He is in charge of your surgery this time. I asked in my friend's circle who is good at leg surgeries. He was the first to contact me. I heard the patient is you. Without a second thought, he agreed. When you see him, be sure to thank him properly. Just as Sophia finished speaking, the door opened right on cue. Ethan came in with a nurse to check on the patient. He asked, "Do your legs feel uncomfortable in any other way?" He seems very steady and reliable. He always avoids my gaze when he talks to me, but his ears are turning very red. I suddenly find it quite interesting. I'm thinking about how to thank this good friend I grew up with. Sophia looks like she's watching a show, looking at him, then looking at me. After Ethan leaves, she immediately excitedly starts chatting with me. I just feel like he's not that simple. In middle school, he always liked to sit with you. He's just like a pure-hearted boy secretly in love with you. Although his family moved abroad in high school, but I heard he hasn't dated anyone until now. He's completely focused on medicine. It seems now, he probably still likes you. I quickly stop Sophia's thoughts. Don't guess blindly. Maybe he just hasn't seen me in a long time. And I just ended an unsuccessful marriage. I'm not planning to consider matters of the heart right now. I understand what you mean, speaking of which. Back when you had your surgery, Oliver called me. He asked if I knew where you were. I directly replied that I didn't know. I even scolded him a bit. Later I heard he even posted a reward in his friend circle. He said that whoever could tell him your whereabouts would receive 30 million. You only understand regret after you leave. It's truly hypocritical. My smile gradually faded. My gaze became resolute. Don't worry, I won't go soft-hearted since it's already cut off. He has nothing to do with me anymore. In the blink of an eye, 3 years have passed. My leg has recovered quite well. The money left by my parents has allowed me to live comfortably. I have picked up my dream from my youth again, to become a fashion designer and to establish my own brand. After shedding the identity of Mrs. Oliver, I have become designer Amelia, boss Amelia, Miss Amelia. Although I am already 48 years old, but I feel younger and younger. Recently, I happened to catch New York Fashion Week. My colleagues and I arrived early at the hotel in New York. I brought the gown I designed myself, walking on unfamiliar streets. I held a camera, slowly capturing the scenes I found appealing. I remembered how busy I've been with work these past few years. It seems I've forgotten about the plan to travel around the world. As I was taking photos of the distant scenery, a thin figure suddenly appeared in the lens. A familiar face I hadn't seen in a long time appeared before me. It was Oliver. I wasn't too surprised, because with his abilities, finding me was just a matter of time. Oliver stood there staring at me, Hesitating, not daring to approach, I turned to leave. He quickly ran over to stop me. Amelia, I really miss you. His voice was choked with emotion. His eyes were red. His gaze was filled with longing. The man in front of me looked very tired. There were dark circles under his eyes. Anyone could see he had invested deep feelings, but my heart was completely calm. Oliver, do you understand how I feel right now? I looked at you and found you so calm, completely unperturbed, I think. Maybe I no longer have feelings for you. Even if you collapsed in front of me now, I would just calmly walk away. He tightly grabbed my arm and said excitedly, "It's not like that. Amelia, I was wrong. I love you. I regret it. I know it's all my fault. Can you give me another chance? I swear I won't make mistakes again, please," I replied coldly. "I stopped believing your vows long ago. Back then, you swore in front of my parents to treat me well for life. Did you keep that promise? Because of your obstruction, I didn't get to see them one last time. You really deserve to go to hell. It's not like that. I did my best to mobilize all medical resources to help them. I had my assistant call to inform you, but Isabella stopped her. She bribed the previous assistant. They deceived me together. I didn't mean to prevent you from seeing them one last time. You have to believe me." He gently tugged at my sleeve, whispering an explanation for himself. I forcefully shook off his hand. He stumbled and lost his balance, fell to the ground, then slowly got back up. I noticed his foot seemed a bit inconvenient. "Amelia, I understand that I owe you, but I've been trying to make up for it. I didn't take good care of the beads you cherish. I specifically volunteered at the temple for a year to pray for your parents' blessings. Later, I knelt before the Buddha and kowtowed 3,000 times. Finally, I prayed for a matching string of prayer beads. You were in a car accident. I let myself get hit by a car to injure my leg. I broke my own leg. Isabella is bullying you. I will stand up for you. I have completely cut off contact with her now." His voice is hoarse. Tears flow uncontrollably. The once lofty him now bows his head before me, desperately pleading for my forgiveness. I'm no longer that naive 25-year-old girl. I'm no longer infatuated with him. So what? Just because you apologize, do I have to forgive you? You should hurry up and sign the divorce agreement. I don't want this to go to court. Don't make me dislike you even more. I took a few steps back. I interrupted his apology calmly. "No, you are my wife. Have you forgotten? It was you who took the initiative to walk into my life. I thought I didn't have such deep feelings for you, but after you left, I couldn't sleep every night. The doctor said I was depressed. I even tried to end my life, but I was saved. I've finally understood the taste of waiting. Amelia, in the past, you would wait for me at home every day. This must be how it feels." He knelt in front of me, desperately begging me not to leave, rolling up his sleeves, revealing the scars underneath. Those scars intertwined with each other. You can tell how desperate this person once was. I looked at the sunset fading on the horizon. My heart was filled with irritation. "I don't want to hear you talk. Do whatever you want. I'm leaving." I hailed a taxi casually. After getting in, I left the disabled Oliver behind. Arriving at the hotel, Ethan was already waiting for me in the lobby. These years, Ethan has been pursuing me all along, but he doesn't talk much. He usually expresses his feelings through actions. At first, I firmly rejected him, but gradually, I got used to someone caring about my food preferences, understanding what books I like to read, being concerned about my emotional changes. Last month, I finally decided to give dating him a try. He noticed that something was off with me. He asked with concern, "What's wrong? You look a bit unwell. I brought you the mung bean cake you've always wanted to eat. Try it and see if it's to your taste." He hugged me, trying to make me happy in his own way. "This is what you specifically bought back from home. This mung bean cake is what I've always wanted to eat, but it can only be bought in the country." I noticed the dark circles under Ethan's eyes, flying from China to New York and back. It takes a full 24 hours of flying time. He went out to buy it just because I casually mentioned I wanted to eat. He disregarded everything to bring it back. Honestly, don't do that next time. You're a doctor, after all. You need to rest well. My eyes are a bit moist. It might be that I was reminded of sad things when I ran into Oliver just now. Or maybe Ethan's silly behavior touched me. Ethan smiled back at me. He held my hand as we walked back to the hotel. As I turned around, I vaguely saw Oliver standing behind a pillar in the lobby. He was looking at me from afar. His expression seemed a bit lost, but I didn't stop. The next day, the fashion week officially began. I don't know why. I always felt a bit uneasy inside. Ethan comforted me, saying, It might just be that I didn't rest well last night. I tried to cheer myself up. I entered the venue with my gown. When it was my turn to go on stage, suddenly, gunshots rang out. The scene immediately fell into chaos. I saw someone fall down not far away after being shot. The ground is covered in bloodstains. Everyone screamed and fled in all directions. I was pushed down to the ground. Someone has stepped on me. It hurts so much that I can't stand up. A gunman suddenly appeared in the center of the square. I didn't run fast enough. Being captured by him became a hostage. The cold barrel is pressed against my head. At this moment, I heard a familiar voice coming from behind. "Amelia, you have finally fallen into my hands. I have been thinking about how to take revenge on you every day these years. If it weren't for you, my life has become like this." Isabella tightly grabbed my hair, forced me to lift my head. She has several terrifying scars on her face. The expression looks very crazy. She shouted, "Let her go." Oliver and Ethan spoke at the same time. "I am willing to be your hostage. I can give you money if you want. I know the people on this side of the road. It can ensure your safe departure." What do you think? Ethan struggles to remain calm, confronting Isabella, but his voice still carries a hint of tremor. His gaze towards me is filled with concern. He says to Isabella, "Isabella, this is between the two of us. If you want revenge, come at me. Don't hurt her. I'm willing to be your hostage." Oliver staggered 2 steps towards me. His voice carries bitterness. "Everything is because of me. Amelia is innocent." "Isabella, the injury on your face was caused by my orders. Don't you want revenge? Then come at me." "Stop talking, Oliver. How could you do this to me? You ruined my life, hiding my child, making me the target of everyone's ire. I naively thought I was your true love. In fact, you only love yourself. Whether it's Amelia or me, we are just your sacrifices." Isabella's words are filled with deep pain. Oliver's figure swayed slightly, struggling to stand firm. Seeing this scene, I feel a bit sad inside. If I hadn't resolutely left back then, perhaps I would be like Isabella now, but I still have some dissatisfaction with Oliver. If it weren't for him, my life with Isabella might look completely different. At least it wouldn't be like this now. Didn't you both want to replace Isabella? Well then, come take her place as hostages. Isabella let go of me, pushed me aside, then signaled her other accomplices to capture Oliver and Ethan. Seeing them holding guns, I didn't dare to resist at all. In the end, I swapped places with the two of them. Never expected you to have such a sentimental side. Oliver, you really are hard to figure out. You clearly betrayed Amelia for 20 years. Now she's willing to exchange her own safety for her peace. Isabella kicks Oliver down to the ground. Then she smiles and says, "Amelia, let's play a game. Only one of these two can survive. You choose who lives. I'll take care of the one left behind." What do you think? She has a smile on her face, but her eyes are serious, not joking at all. I felt a tightness in my chest. My mind raced. Why haven't the police arrived yet? It felt like time had stopped. Only a few of us were left in the square. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense. What's going on? Have you not thought it through, or do you not want to participate? What a pity. You won't play such an interesting game. Then I'll just have to let both of them leave this world. Isabella loads the gun with bullets. She presses it against Ethan's head, ready to pull the trigger at any moment. Ethan shouted urgently, "Wait a moment. I've made up my mind. Don't shoot." I spoke urgently. My mind was blank. Ethan looked at me gently. "Go ahead, Amelia. Don't be afraid. If I die here today, then it's what I willingly accept." I couldn't help but want to cry again. It has come to this point. He is still thinking about how I feel. He was the one who almost lost his life just now. "Wife, I would gladly die for you two. Don't cry." Oliver struggled to stand under the control of the assailant. At this moment, he no longer had the demeanor of a CEO. He looked almost like a homeless person. "Enough. I don't want to hear your act anymore. Amelia, what is your decision?" Isabella raised her voice. There was a clear impatience in the tone. It interrupted our conversation. I'll choose. Choosing one means the other will die, although I harbor resentment towards Oliver. I don't want him to die because of me. However, I also deeply love Ethan. If it weren't for me, he wouldn't have been involved in this matter. He is innocent. I silently apologized in my heart. Then I spoke it out loud. I chose Ethan. As soon as the words left my mouth, Oliver's eyes instantly dimmed. He closed his eyes and fell to the ground weakly, as if he finally accepted reality. Isabella said with a smile, "Oliver, it seems Amelia has chosen to give up on you. She would rather see you die." Ha 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 ha. She laughed loudly, as if mocking Oliver's failure in love. Then her tone suddenly changed. She said coldly, "However, Amelia, I'm not planning to let you off that easily." She suddenly shifted the conversation. She pointed the gun at me. She was about to pull the trigger. In that moment, I didn't have time to react at all. Oliver suddenly rushed in front of me with a loud bang. He fell down. Ethan acted quickly. He snatched the gun from Isabella's hand. He subdued her. Police sirens could be heard in the distance. The criminals fled in fear. Someone shot at her to prevent Isabella from revealing the truth. The bullet hit her in the forehead. She stared wide-eyed. She died on the spot. I held Oliver. Blood was continuously flowing from the corner of his mouth. Blood is continuously flowing from the corners of his mouth. I said to him, "You must hold on. The ambulance will arrive soon. Ethan, aren't you a doctor? Please save him. Oliver's body is getting colder. I'm starting to panic." Ethan came over to check his injuries. His expression turned serious. The bullet hit his heart. "I can't do anything," I said anxiously. "How could this happen, Oliver? Don't sleep, hold on. You'll be fine once we get to the hospital." I'm like a child who doesn't know how to comfort others. My mind is blank. "Amelia, I know I'm beyond saving, but thankfully you're okay. I've done too many wrong things in my life. I owe you too many apologies. I originally wanted to spend my life making it up to you, but I didn't expect that fate would be more anxious than me." Cough, cough, cough. His voice was very weak. His eyes were fixed on me. There is nothing but reluctance in my eyes. "I'm really tired. Amelia, I'm feeling sleepy. Can I ask you one last question? If I hadn't done those wrong things, if I had never betrayed you from the beginning, would you have always been with me?" Oliver struggled to lift his hand, wanting to touch my face. He said, "Love cannot accommodate betrayal and deception. If you had never hurt me, I think we could have gone all the way." My voice trembled. I slowly answered him, word by word. Oliver seemed to hear an answer that satisfied him. The hand that was originally raised suddenly lowered. His eyes reflected my image. Finally, they slowly closed. The church bells rang in the distance, as if announcing that something has come to an end. I leaned on Ethan's shoulder, crying so much that I couldn't speak. A week later, the police have completed their investigation. It has been confirmed that this is a terrorist attack. Since the mastermind, Isabella, has been killed, they have begun to hunt down the remaining accomplices and issued a reward notice. After Oliver's body was cremated, I sent it back home. I hope it can be delivered to his mother smoothly, under the clear sky. I stood in front of my parents' graves. I calmly recounted what had happened over the years. I also formally introduced Ethan to them. I said, "I am doing well now. It will get even better. Don't worry about me. We will reunite in the next life." A gentle breeze blew. Ethan held me close. We walked out of the cemetery together. I felt that everything had come to an end. I will continue to open new chapters in my life.